Hey, it's Kristen. Welcome back for another DIY video. In today's video, I am sharing with you how to make these really adorable crochet pumpkins with the cinnamon stick stems. These pumpkins are super easy to make and they are a perfect beginner-friendly project. They work up super fast and you only need to know how to do a couple of stitches, and I'll walk you through all the steps, so let's get into it. If you would like the full written instructions and a printable pattern, you can go to my website at raisingnobles.com, and I'll have a link down in the description box below. For this tutorial, you will need some yarn. You can use any kind that you would like or size. You'll need a crochet hook. I like to just use the kind that it recommends on the yarn that I'm using. So this particular one is 8mm. You're going to need some fiber fill to go in the middle of your pumpkin. You'll need an embroidery needle, scissors, a cinnamon stick if you'd like to add that in the middle of your pumpkin, and then this is optional, but you can use some twine just to add a little something special to the pumpkins. I also think it'd be fun if you could get green twine. I think that would be really beautiful as well. All right, let's jump right into it. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook here, just like so. Now, depending on the size of your pumpkin, that's what the chain is going to determine. So for this larger pumpkin, I chained 18 and I used a thicker yarn, a nice thick yarn. For these smaller ones, I chained 16 and I believe I did 14 on this one. So for today, I'm going to do 16 for this one. But for this one, let's go ahead and start by chaining 16. Okay, so now we have 16. So the next step is going to be to go into the third chain from the hook, and we're going to do half double crochets. So that's what we're going to be doing throughout this whole project. So I'm going to show you how to do a half double crochet, but third one from the hook. So we have 1, 2, 3. So what you're going to do here is yarn over, go into this stitch, yarn over again, pull it through, so you're going to have 3 on your hook, and then you're going to do yarn over and pull through all 3 on your hook. And then we're going to do that in the very next chain. Yarn over into that chain, pull through 3 on the hook, and pull through all 3, just like that. Let's do it again. Okay, we're at number 13 now, and that was 13, and then one more makes 14. All right, so you should have 14 stitches at this point. Now we are going to turn our work, and we're gonna chain 2. That's gonna be the very first thing we do. And then we are going to be working into the back loop only. So back here you see the V. If you kind of turn your work sideways, you see this V here. So we're going to be working into the back loop. That's what we're going to be doing first. And they're going to be all half double crochets into the back loop. So it's going to look like this. You're going to yarn over, go into this, whoops, lost it. Yarn over, go into this back loop, pull up, and then yarn over again, and we're going to do all 3 on the hook. And then again, in this back V, yarn over, pull through all 3 just like that. Yarn over, like that, yarn over in that back, 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 loop. and then yarn over again, and then pull through all 3, just like that. And we're gonna keep doing that all the way down. All right, so we have our 14 stitches, so we're going to turn our work and we're going to chain 2. And just like before we did the back loop, now we're going to do the front loop. And that's what's going to give our pumpkin these ridges that kind of like bump out, bump in, bump out like that. So front loop only this time, meaning if you look at this V here, we're going just in this front loop right there. So we're gonna do half double crochets the same way, yarn over, gonna go under this one, pull that yarn through 3, and then pull through all 3. Just in the front loop. Again, if you want the written instructions, I will have those on my website, raisingnobles.com. And you could print the instructions from there if you prefer that. All right, we have our 14, so now once again, we're going to turn our work, chain 2, and then we're gonna alternate, so we're doing back loop only again. I'm gonna do the same thing through all of our rows. I'm gonna do a little time lapse here, so you don't have to watch me do this entire thing, but chain 2, back loop only, turn your work, chain 2, front loop only, turn your work, just like that all the way up. All right, so once you have your 19 rows, it makes this long rectangle. It's time to go ahead and close it up. So all we're going to do is fold it in half, just like this. So the ends kind of meet. And then we're going to slip stitch it together. So we're gonna go through the front here, go through a loop, and we're just going to go through the next loop here. We're gonna pull some yarn through, just like that. And we're gonna just do this all the way down where we just go into those top stitches, hook over, and then pull it through like that. We're gonna do that all the way down. All right, so here we are, we've closed up our rectangle. So the next thing that we need to do is leave a really long tail. We're gonna be using this tail to stitch up the ends and give it a nice pumpkin shape here. So I'm gonna leave a super long tail and pull through like this. Just like this. So now we have this nice little loop and we're gonna close it up now. So we're going to get our embroidery needle. And we're gonna start by just going in and out of the very top of our pumpkin here, or what will be a pumpkin. So we're gonna go in and out and in and out, and it's kind of like doing a gathering stitch. So that way when we pull this tight, it's gonna gather it all together for us. So we just go in and out, all the way back to where we started. All right, we're back to the beginning now. I like to overlap just a little bit. All right, so let's pull this tight. You see how that kind of gathers everything. So this is now going to be the bottom of our pumpkin, like this. So the next step is going to be to fill this with the polyester fiber fill. All right, let's go ahead and fill our pumpkin. Okay, just like that. Looks pretty good. All right, so we have it filled. We need to go ahead and close off the top of the pumpkin. So we're gonna be using this same yarn as before with our needle. I'm just gonna kind of push it up on the side here and bring it up. And we are going to do the exact same thing on this top section as we did on the bottom. So we're just gonna start going in and out on the top. Do a nice little gathering stitch thing here. So we got it all gathered around. Sometimes I like to go around just on the little inner parts here and just to give it extra tight. All right, give it a nice little tug here. So now we have our pumpkin closed up. The next thing is going to be to give it a really nice shape. So instead of it kind of being larger and kind of bulky and wonky looking, we're gonna kind of make it tucked in a little bit so it looks a little bit more like a real pumpkin, like these do. So the way we're going to do that is making sure the yarn appears nice and tight, and then we're just going to put our yarn back through the center and back down on the other side, back through the other side, and pull up, and we're going to pull it tight. Basically as tight as you want your pumpkin to be pulled down, because look here, if I pull, you can make it really flat, or you could have, you know, a different shape just depending on what you want. And so what I like to do is wherever I want that shape to be kind of tucked in a little tighter is where I'll stick my yarn in and go back the other direction. So this part's kind of bulging out, so I'll just kind of go into that area, come back up on the other side, and it'll kind of help to flatten that area, give it maybe a little bit more of a uniform shape. This side's kind of bulging out a little bit, so I'm going to go in here and bring it back on the other side and see if that helped the bulge. Oh yeah, see how much that helped it? I'm just going to pull that tight like that. And so at this point you can decide, okay, which side do I want to be my top? Which side do I want to be the bottom? I think this is going to be the bottom for me. So all I'm going to do is just go ahead and weave in the ends here, making sure everything is pulled nice and tight the way that I want it. Do a quick little knot here at the end. I don't think it's really necessary, but just in case, I like to put a little bit of a knot and then just trim that end off. Just like that. Now we just place our cinnamon stick right into the center. I'm actually going to cut this one in half for this pumpkin, or more like 3/4. The larger pumpkin, I used a full cinnamon stick, but on these smaller ones, I've been cutting them and it seems to work a lot better. Yep, that's perfect. So we're not sticking it all the way through the fiber fill there. So there it is, and we're gonna add just a little bit of twine, just do a quick little bow, just to add a little something special. I feel like it just adds it. You could even use green twine. If you had green twine, I think that would be really beautiful to make it kind of look like a leaf. You can trim these down however you would like. Just like that. And now we have a cute little pumpkin. This is a perfect beginner project. The stitches are super easy. It works up really, really quickly, and I think they're really beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it inspired you to make your own crochet pumpkins this fall. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It just helps my video reach more people. And leave me a comment down below and let me know if you have any questions or if you plan to try this project. Again, thanks so much for watching this video today, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.